Your Honor, in light of the weighty and considerable issues my case has set before the court and the potential finality of any such decision with regards to my future, I write to you today hoping that I might offer the court a first-hand accounting of who I am presently, what I believe, how I think, and above all, what I intend if I were to regain my liberty. There certainly has been no shortage when it comes to the diversity of opinion emanating from people who either characterize me as a perpetual, active, and/or relevant figure in gang activity, or simply as a man hell-bent upon reinvigorating his past life if ever given the chance. Not only are these views wrong, they are being advanced by people who've never spent a second with me. They don't know me. They suppose and speak in terms of pure fantasy. Likewise, if one were to peruse my official record, there is plenty to read, but it is all ancient history literally. It represents a compilation of events from decades past. When I first encountered the criminal justice system, specifically in the form of incarceration in the Illinois State Corrections, I was a young man. That was 50 years ago. My last encounter with the prosecutorial arm of the system, and the basis of this instant case, was over 25 years ago. Since, my life, by design, in the most real way imaginable has been utterly uneventful. The truth is that the only remaining element of my reality that I retain any control of is the thoughts within my own mind. Indeed, the consequences of my past conduct have been harsh, my experience has not been typical. Very few federal convicts are kept in the ADX for over 25 years. Nonetheless, I understand why this was done and I want the court to hear from me that I accept responsibility. At the end of the day, I was the architect of my own fate. I also want the court to hear that with 25 years of self-reflection I am able to honestly assess and appreciate the magnitude and scope of the harms my actions wrought. I cannot help but to have immense remorse. Having studied the court's ruling carefully, I've come away with the sense that the core concerns reflected therein boil down to this: whether I still wield any effective influence over gang members and their activities, whether I have any ongoing, active association or fidelity to any gang, and whether I would, if released from prison, somehow endeavor to resurrect my criminal career. These questions are important and shared equally amongst a number of interested parties. As such, I now hope to clarify and answer the questions, all with the hope of putting at ease any apprehensions this court and any person may have. First, any assertion from those standing in opposition to the relief I seek that I continue to, or that I've made any effort to, or that in any other way I retain any influence upon any gang is not true. For over 25 years all of my communications, phone, mail, visiting, has been live monitored and recorded by the government. Furthermore, though my communications likely receive the highest degree of scrutiny, other inmates at the ADX experience a similar level of oversight. In other words, there has been no proxy or third-party communications coming from me. The one instance cited by the government and reported in the Chicago Tribune alleging that I had in 2015 attempted to send coded messages wasn't accurate reported. In truth, some random inmate, for reasons entirely of his own, tried to give me a dictionary apparently to be used as a code key of some sort. This was discovered by authorities and no messages were ever sent or received by me. I have simply not had the means or the opportunity, or the desire to communicate with people in a subversive manner for 25 years. Next, I have been in an isolated mode of existence during my period of incarceration at the ADX. I'm not housed in a unit where I have social access to other gang members. Even if I wanted to, I haven't been in association with anyone, but what is more important, and for many years now, I have not had any desire to be part of that past lifestyle. Finally, if I were released, my singular aim and desire is to spend my remaining time with my wife and grandchildren. What the opposition doesn't acknowledge is the reality of my age. In actuality, I am over 70. I suffer from an assortment of age-related ailments. People, when writing about me in the papers, always use photos of me depicting the way I appeared 40 years ago, as if I, still a young, strong and rebellious gang leader. That man no longer exists. The court however did express that in my case, age may not necessarily be as debilitating when it comes to the question of the potential of my residual notoriety in terms of influence. I am aware anecdotally that some misguided people continue to hold me up as a symbol. I wish this were not so. Regardless, these people are apart from me and do what they do with zero encouragement or direction from me. To be clear, if I had any ability to influence them, I'd ask that they'd forget me and forsake the gang life forever. I do acknowledge that my past, though I've been off the grid for decades, has had a lingering, negative influence inspiring a segment of disaffected youth. Above all things, I regret this, I am sorry for this, and not a day goes by that I don't feel that weight. I am no longer the Larry Hoover people sometimes talk about, or he who is written about in the papers, or the crime figure described by the government. That man has over these many years transformed into the man I am today. It is true that some men never learn, or that prison makes some into monsters. I've seen it, but for me, over time, this prison in particular became a place of reflection. Though it has at times been painful, I've been able to come to terms with myself, what I have done, and the consequences and collateral damage my conduct manifested. I want nothing to do with my past. I want no association with those in that lifestyle. I just want to come home and be with my family. I am tired. In closing, there is a pragmatic argument to be made as well. Regardless of what I say, the government is virtually certain in the event I were released to maintain surveillance upon me. Being that I'd be guaranteed to be subject to a supervised release agreement, I would be agreeing to this surveillance. Knowing this, it would be self-defeating, bordering on suicidal for me to engage in any prohibited activity or associations. I just wouldn't do it. It isn't possible for me to put into words the extent I have suffered these years. I can only say that I've had enough. My family has had enough, and I am more than ready to live out my remaining days with them in peace and harmony with the community. I hope the court will allow this. To that end, I offer my solemn oath that I will continue to forsake my past and will live a law-abiding life and will do to the end. Thank you for the opportunity to address you directly. I appreciate your indulgence and consideration. Larry Hoover.